Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, 2 things you must understand about money.
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
It's back to school season, so here we are doing a 10-part series on lifelong learning.
And don't worry if you're just popping in now and you think, oh my gosh, I've missed a bunch of stuff. We've got links to everything so that you can go back and listen to the episodes that mean the most to you.
Yeah, and so far we've covered reading and writing, and now we're ready for arithmetic.
The 3 R's that we learned in school. And today's episode is made possible by SignNow. Sign documents online, generate agreements, negotiate contracts, and accept payments with legally binding eSignatures. Learn more at bigsuccess.com/sign.
Now, I know when I say arithmetic or I say math, Mary-Lynn, doesn't it just kind of send cold shivers up the spine?
Yes, math was never my forte, for sure.
And that's true for a lot of people, but here's the good news. When it comes to money, you don't have to be Einstein. Matter of fact, by the way, do you know Einstein wasn't really that good with money?
Really?
No, he was a pretty poor handler of money. He could not understand this concept that just because he had checks didn't mean he could write, an unlimited amount of checks. He thought as long as he had checks, yes, he thought the money just automatically appeared, I guess. But anyway.
That sounds like our government.
Yeah, exactly right. But it is important to understand how the world works, and math is part of that equation. So we are going to hit on a couple things you need to understand about money and arithmetic.
But here's the great thing is that the professor teaches entrepreneurial finance, and he is wonderful at breaking things down so that even somebody like me can understand it. And this is really valuable stuff. We're going to take a little different approach today than we have in the last 2 shows, because we're going to talk about 2 specific things that we need to know when it comes to arithmetic.
Yeah, and particularly how math intersects with our money in terms of being important and being useful. Hi, I'm George Kruger, the professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. These 2 things both involve our personal finances, and that's why they're so important. So let's pull out the professor's whiteboard for 2 things you must understand about money. I'll tell you what, I'm about to start cutting some checks to have this closet cleaned out because you don't seem to ever want to get it done.
I hear you.
Sure you do. You say you do. But every week, here we are. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know what to say, Mary-Lynn.
All right. The power of compounding money. That is the first thing that you need to understand when it comes to money. So what is this compounding money stuff?
Well, and this can be a little complex, I'll admit, but we're going to offer an example that's so simple that we don't even need a calculator to do our additions.
Right. And our show notes spell out this example too. So you will have a written version of this as well. The link is in your show notes.
So here we go, Mary-Lynn. 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals...
I'm lost. No, I'm joking. 6.
6, exactly right. 2 times 2 times 2 equals...
Boy, I really am glad we have this in our show notes so that I can review. But I believe the answer is 8.
That's correct. So if we add 2 together 3 times, we get 6. We just showed that, right? Mm-hmm. If we multiply 2 by itself 3 times, we get 8. Mm-hmm. That's the power of multiplication, the difference between 8 and 6. And money multiplies if you manage properly. So in other words, you don't have to add money, money multiplies.
Okay. Oh, that never seems to happen in my wallet.
Sure it does, Mary-Lynn. Come on.
So why don't you tell us how this magically happens?
Well, let's say that you have $2, okay? You picture the $2 in your hand, and you stuff that in your mattress, all right?
Why would I do that? No.
Well,
to save it.
To save it, yes.
So
you want it to be secure.
It?
You want to sleep on it, right? So next year, you get another $2 and you put it in the same mattress. Mm-hmm. The year after that, you do the same thing. Now you have $6 in your mattress. Mm-hmm. But you haven't earned any money on your money, right?
No.
You've got $6, but it's all come the hard way.
Right.
Okay? So instead of stuffing it in our mattress, we invest it. And let's just assume, for the sake of argument, to keep the example easier to understand, let's just say that you double your money every year. That's what we just did a while back.
So that requires you to be smart in the stock market or something, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, it involves having an understanding, I guess, of some investments. Yes. Could be the stock market, maybe something else.
CDs?
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So let's assume that you could double your money every year. Okay. Now, red flags should be going off, right? Nobody can double their money every year. That's true. But understand that we're just doing this for the purpose of illustration because it makes for easy mathematics. Okay. So you start with that same $2 that you had before, right? We had $2. We stuffed it on our mattress. What we're going to do now is we're going to take that $2 and we're going to invest it and earn 100% on your money each year. So at the end of 3 years, instead of having $6, 2 plus 2 plus 2, you're going to end up with $8. 2 times 2 times 2.
Right.
We showed you that equation earlier. And here's the thing, though. You've got $8, but you only invested $2 one time. So when you stuffed it in your mattress, you had to invest $2 3 times. If you get your money working for you, you only had to invest that $2 one time. Now, understand, once again, we're using unachievable return to make the point, but the point is still there. When you get your money working for you, wonderful things happen.
And that's the power of compounding interest.
And that's the power of compounding interest.
Okay, but it is a two-edged sword because it can also work against you.
Sure.
We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. And that brings us to the second thing that you have to understand about money, and that's the basic accounting equation.
And the basic accounting equation is assets minus liabilities equals net worth.
Okay. Can you explain what each thing is and maybe break that equation down a little bit?
Yes. So assets are the things you own. Liabilities are what you owe. And your net worth is the residual, what's left.
Okay.
Okay. So, of course, our goal is to increase our net worth. Pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
If we understand this basic accounting equation, we can see there are only 2 ways to do that. There's 2 ways to increase your net worth. 1, you increase assets faster than liabilities. Or 2, you decrease liabilities faster than our assets are decreasing. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So an example of that would be, if you pay off debt, even if your assets stay the same amount, you pay off debt, you're worth more. Net worth, financially, you're worth more. Okay? That's the way it works. See how simple this is, Mary-Lynn?
You are definitely sticking to your reputation of keeping it simple, Professor.
Well, good.
Can you expand on that any more?
Yeah, so if you think about it, if we increase our assets without increasing our liabilities, our net worth increases. Okay? And what we're saying here is without increasing our liabilities. Note that we're not even saying that the liabilities have to go down. You can actually hold them flat, and if you have more assets, you're going to have more net worth. Okay. That's the way the equation works. That's the only way it stays in balance. If you decrease your liabilities without decreasing your assets, then your net worth is going to increase. So once again, the example I just mentioned, we decrease our liabilities, we pay off a debt. Even though our assets are the same, we're still increasing our net worth. So these are the ways that you can increase your assets or decrease your liabilities to end up with a greater net worth. Okay,
well, let's put this into like real world situation. Okay. Let's say that something that we all do is we go on vacation.
Yes.
But let's say you borrow money to go on vacation.
Okay, so now let me ask you a question. How much did our assets increase or did our assets increase or decrease as a result of this transaction? We borrowed money to go on vacation. So our liabilities went up. That's the borrowed money. What happened to assets?
They stayed the same.
They stayed the same. So what happens to our net worth? Assets the same, liabilities are up, means net worth has to go down. So if we borrow money to go on vacation, we spend that money, our net worth is going to go down. You lose financially. You may reap psychic returns. There's no argument about that. I mean, there's other ways to measure that. You can't measure psychic returns per se easily. But the thing is, there are other returns than just money. But that's really, that's the subject of another podcast. So it's the pain we talked about earlier. You have to pay for the vacation over time if you borrow the money for the vacation. You also have to pay interest on the money that you borrowed. So this is a situation where compounding actually works against you. Your lender is getting the benefit of compounding interest.
Right.
You're getting the cost side.
Right.
Your side is the painful side.
So save up for that vacation.
Exactly.
So let's review our 2 things that you must understand about money. Number 1, understand the power of compounding money and how you can make the money work for you and multiply itself.
You got it, Mary-Lynn.
And the second thing to understand is the basic accounting equation. You want to make sure that you're growing your net worth by being mindful of your assets and liabilities.
Absolutely right, Mary-Lynn. So what's the key? The key is to find ways to increase assets without taking on more liabilities, or to invest in assets that earn a return higher than the cost of your debt. So, for example, you borrow money for an investment property, real estate investment property, and you're going to earn 10% on it, and your mortgage cost is 5%. That's a situation where your return on assets is higher than your cost of debt. So money multiplies if you manage it right. That's a path to big success.
Did you know you can profit from lifelong learning? Find out how with our free ebook. The link is in your show notes, or if you're feeling ambitious, just go to bigsuccess.com. That's big with 2 G's, success.com/learning.
And we thank you so much for listening today. A special big salute to our listeners in Laramie, Wyoming.
Now, we just wrapped up talking about the 3 R's we're all familiar with from our school.
Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yes. So next week, we're going to start talking about the 3 R's of big success, and that's big with 2 G's. We're going to kick it off with 3 tips to take responsibility and create lasting change. Until then,
here's to your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.